VB6. Why, first of all, did you decide to start it? And it seems like it's, in a way, the most personal cookbook because it really started with you.
I turned 57 or so. This was 7 years ago. I had a series of health problems. I had a conventional doctor who said, well, we could put you on statins, we could put you on blood pressure lowering medication, we could do this, we could do that. And then I went to see this older, wiser doctor who I'd known for a long time. And he said, you should just become a vegan. And all that stuff will take care of itself. So I decided I would try to eat vegan's an inadequate word, but I decided I would try to eat completely unprocessed plants during the course of the day, and then at night do whatever the hell I wanted. So, which seemed like a good compromise. And that is essentially what VB6 is.
You even seem to not like the word diet. I mean, that it doesn't really apply to this because it is a way of life. But how has that word become sort of a controlling cultural force? Because it clearly has. It's constantly on morning shows and the press and people's obsession and People Magazine, how many pounds of people lost. It's all about what diet are they doing.
Loosely translated, it's a Greek word. Loosely translated, it means the way you live, the way you eat. So it's not a bad word, but it has been co-opted by weird 2-week lose 21 pounds in 21 days kinds of things. And those kinds of diets, short-term diets, have been pretty much demonstrated to cause long-term weight gain. So they're not, you might lose 21 pounds in 21 days and then you gain 23 pounds in 23 days and you're a little worse off than you were when you started. So, but as you're asking that question, I was thinking in the last 2 or 3 or 5 years, maybe the really wacky stuff has been discredited a little bit. And I say that as someone who's been on Dr. Oz. So you don't see quite as much of the really loopy stuff.
And what about, I'm sure many people push back on the cost of eating healthy. How do you respond to people who say that most Americans can't?
The mistake is thinking that to eat better, you have to eat organic or local. But that's not true. That may be how you eat best in your mind, and it may be that you believe, and I believe, that eating organic is preferable to not eating organic. But right now, something like 5% of the food in the United States is organic, and everyone knows it's expensive, and actually not all of it is that good. We'll put that aside. But it is expensive. There's not enough for everybody, and of course not everybody can afford it. But to eat better does not mean to eat organic food. It means, as I've been saying, to shift your diet on that spectrum. And let's say 80% of the people, there's not a real number here, but let's say 80% of the people in the United States, the people who qualify as neither poor nor even close to being poor, can afford to eat better because most of them are eating badly. And it's not true that McDonald's is cheaper than cooking for yourself. It's not true that junk food is cheaper than real food. It's just true that that stuff is cheaper than expensive organic food. And then for the people who actually can't afford to make that kind of change, that's an issue, and it's a hard to deal with issue, but it's not exclusively a food issue, it's a social justice issue. It's an income issue.
Can you talk about the time of day where it's important to eat vegan? In other words, could you have switched your paradigm and said, it's going to be lunch and dinner is going to be vegan, but breakfast will not be vegan? Did you notice any difference there?
I didn't want to create this diet that was like biologically correct. And if someone said, oh, well, you have to, if you really want to do this, you have to have your big piece of protein in the morning, and really you should only have a salad before you go to bed and nothing else. I wanted to do something that I and other people could actually do. We like to hang out at dinner, most of us. And we might like to drink, and we might like to have dessert, and we might like to have meat. And those are things that we don't often do at breakfast. So even if it turned out that it made sense from some physiological point of view to have steak and eggs for breakfast and 3 glasses of red wine, no one was going to do that. So what would be the point, really? So that's my thinking. It's not that I think this is physiologically the best thing to do. I don't know that it's not the best thing to do. I don't care. It's something that can be done, and it's totally pragmatic.